The Digimon franchise may have started out as a virtual pet series and successfully branched out into multiple card games and dozens of video games, but it's no secret that the number one most well-known piece of media is the original Digimon Adventure TV series. The show was an absolute hit, and despite having come out 25 years ago, it's still the first thing that most people associate with Digimon. In the US especially, this was most people's primary exposure to the series, since only the first version of the Virtual Pet saw a release. The original card game was handled very bizarrely, and the few video games that did release weren't super popular. Premiering in Episode 1 and featuring heavily throughout the series, the Digivice was an element introduced as a tie to the LCD toy origins of Digimon, and was a tool that allowed Digimon to evolve into higher forms, as well as having a few other features like a clock and map. As with any cartoon for children, the opportunity for merchandising was clear, and of course the Digivice was made into a physical toy that any kid could purchase, both the original release in Japan and the heavily modified release for the US, which was the basis for the rest of the world as well. Many fans bought these devices and their sequels, and at least in the US, these were probably more well known than the original Virtual Pets. The original Japanese Digivice has seen a few additional releases with updated content over the years, with the version 15th and the version complete, and now with the Digivice 25th Color Evolution, though this is a much more extensive update than seen previously. Spoiler warning, this review assumes you have seen the entirety of Digimon Adventure and will talk about story details from throughout the series, as well as any content on the Digivice that was shown in that series. The Digivice 25th Color Evolution, which I will be referring to as the Digivice Color moving forward, is a premium Bandai release, which of course means it was pre-order only and exclusively available in Japan, via Bandai's official import methods or from other import stores and proxy services. At the time of this review, the pre-orders are of course all closed, so you will only be able to acquire the device from resellers. There are 3 different colors based on the primary color used in the show, as well as the activated colors of Taichi and Yamato's devices. All 3 devices are functionally the same, but the Taichi and Yamato colors do have some different decorative items that do not affect gameplay. The Taichi and Yamato colors also come with an art book of various sprites used in the device, as well as a tag and crest set. I do not consider either of those physical bonuses to be at all worth the higher price, so only get the Taichi or Yamato colors if you really like the colors themselves. All menus and text are written in English, but the names of the Digimon use the original names, not the localized ones, such as Tailmon instead of Gatomon. All voice clips, however, are in Japanese. Before jumping into the unique features of the Digivice Color, let's focus on what a Digivice actually is, as they are quite different from the virtual pets I usually talk about, despite looking similar. As a heads up, this video is not intended to give a full rundown, so I won't be explaining every little feature. If you want that, make sure to check out my previous overview video, and to read the guide at digitamahatchery.com. Now, when I use the term Digivice, I am exclusively referring to devices based on the various Digimon TV series. While the term is sometimes used interchangeably with VPET by some international translations, it can be confusing to refer to all Digimon electronics as Digivices, since the gameplay is very different. As such, it's best to keep the terminology separate. Devices where you hatch and raise a Digimon through its lifespan are VPETs. Devices where you go on an adventure with Digimon from the show are Digivices. There are exceptions, of course, specifically the Digivice IC from Digimon Savers, which is a full-blown VPET, and a very good one at that, as well as the Digivice V and Dual V, which are part of the Vital series of VPETs. Most Digivices go like this. You pick a Digimon partner that appears in the show, generally at its Stage 3 form, and then proceed to progress through a series of areas. Within each area, you progress by physically shaking the device, whether in your hand or attached to your belt while you walk. The idea is that as you go about your day walking around, battles will occur with enemy Digimon. When they do, you fight them with your selected partner and win to progress to the next area. Your Digimon partner doesn't grow over time, nor does it require care, but it can evolve during battle if specific conditions are met. After the battle concludes, it will return to its base form, just like in the show. Areas are divided up into maps, and with most Digivices, those maps will be arranged to loosely follow the progression of the show they are from. Generally, there will be a boss Digimon at the end of a map, and upon their defeat you would move on to the next map. Areas can be revisited, and additional partners may unlock as you progress. The ultimate goal is to defeat the final boss of the device, and to unlock any additional content that may exist, and that's really it. So what's special about this new device specifically then? Obviously, the headlining feature is the addition of color, just like we saw with the Digital Monster Color and Digimon Pendulum Color releases. Unlike those devices though, these aren't colored versions of the original sprites from the original Digivice, rather most sprites are coming directly from the Vital Bracelet series, with new sprites created in that style for Digimon that didn't make an appearance there. Not only do the Digimon make an appearance, but the chosen children from Digimon Adventure do as well. It's not just new sprites though, as despite having the same general gameplay idea, this new Digivice is not a recreation of the original Digivice, it's an entirely new take on it. The map and area systems have been completely redone, with each location specifically representing one or more episodes from the show. Even though you choose a specific partner to start with, you can freely switch between all 7 of the original chosen children from the very first area. This device doesn't just take inspiration from the show, it literally covers every single episode except the one where Taichi briefly returns to the real world following Edamon's defeat. So really, this would be the perfect thing to run alongside a rewatch of Digimon Adventure. The short film featuring Greymon's battle with Parrotmon is included as well, since it was referenced as a flashback in one episode, and of course the follow-up film Our Wargame is also included. Beyond that though, nothing in the further Digimon Adventure canon such as Zero 2, Tri, or Kizuna is included, and I mean nothing. If a Digimon did not appear in Digimon Adventure or Our Wargame, it will not appear on this device, including evolutions. This does mean that while Agumon and Gabumon can evolve all the way through to Omegamon, none of the other 6 main Digimon can reach their Stage 6 form. While that may be a bit disappointing, it's worth noting that every other Digimon in the show and movie is not only represented, but able to assist in battle as a friend after you defeat them for the first time. Yes, even the primary antagonists like Devimon, which the second version of the original Japanese Digivice had previously explored that mechanic for bosses. The only Digimon not included are Baby Digimon beyond the first 7 chosen partners, and Plotmon since Tailmon's base form in the show is Stage 4. There is also one more Digimon that appears that never made an appearance in Digimon Adventure whatsoever, but if you're familiar with the previous Japanese Digivice models, then you should know exactly which one that is. Going back to map progression, one fun thing is that you get a brief cutscene whenever you defeat the final boss of each map, with actual stills from the show. Unlike previous devices, there aren't random battles that occur within locations based on step count, but there are random battles called Digital Crisis that will activate at specific times of day, requiring you to shake the device to activate them. Each location has a set number of areas that, after reaching the required number of steps, will result in either a battle with an enemy or a brief interaction with one of the other partners. Unfortunately, the partner interactions feel like a wasted opportunity, as rather than being specific events from the show, they are just one of a few different canned interactions that don't really add much in terms of gameplay. Battles play out with the 2 Digimon from each side firing an attack, followed by a clash where you either have to mash A, shake the device, or follow a displayed sequence of button presses to be successful. Shaking and following are easy enough, and mashing usually is, but some of the map's final bosses require a lot more A presses than you might expect. When you land an attack, sometimes one of the other partner Digimon will assist you, or whichever friend Digimon you currently have selected may help instead. After clearing an area, you can move on to the next one, and you might even get an item or unlock a secret area within that same location. Speaking of battles, this Digivice can of course battle with other Digivice colors, as well as the Digital Monster color and Digimon Pendulum color, but it cannot battle against older devices than those. As for features outside of the primary progression, there's also a camp screen which doesn't actually have any effect on gameplay, but lets you see your Digimon in a few different scenarios, and is where you can view decorative items that you have collected. This device also incorporates many features previously seen in the CSA series of Digivices, which were not gameplay devices, but instead meant to be more like cosplay props, with LED lights and sounds to accompany them. CSA devices weren't something I ever tried collecting, as having the devices without the gameplay didn't interest me, but those lights and sounds are a fantastic addition on this Digivice, along with a new addition of a vibration motor. Your Digimon has voice clips that it will say, which are accompanied by the LED lights showing the color of its crest. The evolution sequences are faithfully recreated with sprites, complete with the Digimon shouting Shinka, while Braveheart plays in the background. Music is used throughout the device, played during battles, events, and even when just walking around, though thankfully you can turn the main screen background music off by long pressing the A button. Voice clips and music can also be called up at any time from the device menu to listen to at your leisure. Lastly, there are settings on the device to adjust the volume, or to disable the LED lights and vibration in case any of those types of feedback aren't your thing. It's also worth noting that with all those features, they do of course eat up battery, though I would consider the battery life perfectly adequate for this type of device. You'll be looking at between 2 to 4 hours on one charge depending on how much interaction you're doing, possibly more based on your settings. So if you plan on leaving it on your belt and just doing events as they come up, the battery should certainly last all day. It is rechargeable via USB-C, and if you do run out of juice and need to power down, your data is saved and you'll pick up right where you left off once you power back on. The last feature I'll touch on is a really nice quality of life addition, where you can choose to make each step count as 5 instead. The step counts per area are already pretty low compared to previous Digivices, so now you can really breeze through things if you want to. Overall, I don't think it's hard to say that this is easily the best Digivice based on Digimon Adventure, and certainly would be my pick for best non-VPET Digivice period, but that's not to say it's without flaw. Personally, while I think it would have been nice to have more evolved forms for each Digimon, I at least understand the decision not to include them. I don't agree with that decision, mind you, but I get why they wanted to stick with just what appeared in the original run and not the additional content from over a decade later, so I won't really knock a point there. What does really bug me though is what happens after immediately clearing an area. You get bumped back out to the map screen and have to go back into the location you were already in and manually select the next area. There's absolutely no reason to do this, as it's not like it's a non-linear experience. You still have to go to each of the non-secret areas in sequence. Even if you do want to choose an area besides the next one, it's very easy to do so from the menu, so why force us to choose after an area? 9 times out of 10, the next area you want to tackle is the actual next area, so you should be just placed there immediately to progress. It doesn't even have the courtesy to default the area selection to the next choice. You still have to start from the top of the list of areas in each location and scroll to the one you want. Not great, especially when some locations have over 10 areas. I'm also disappointed that beyond battling, there just isn't much to do on this device. That's been true for most Digivices, but I'll also give that same complaint to them as well. Unlike virtual pets, this is not a device I would recommend to just anyone to try out, because ultimately there is little replay value, and the fluff such as the camp just isn't engaging enough to hold interest. You'll clear the whole thing in 10 to 20 hours of interaction, and that will be it, unless you choose to restart it I suppose, but I don't see the appeal in that. With virtual pets, each run you do is unique and happens over a week or so, making it enjoyable to go again and again, but the Digivice is much more a one-and-done experience. That said, even though I don't think everyone should get this device, fans of the original Digimon adventure will certainly get something out of it. At the very least, it is a great looking device. I've always very much loved the original Digivice design, and this one looks as phenomenal as ever. Beyond that, going through the whole story this way is a fun nostalgia trip and enjoyable if you're familiar with the material. Not to mention, the amount of effort put into the sprite work and audio really elevates the experience. I'll say it again, when it comes to the various Digivice toys that have been made for Digimon Adventure over the years, this is definitely the one to get. If you still want to know more about the Digivice Color, make sure to check out the in-depth overview video I mentioned earlier, as well as digitamahatchery.com for every single thing you need to know about using the device. If you want to just chat about it, head to the Discord server in the description, where we have a whole channel just for talking about anime Digivices. That's going to do it for now, so until next time, bye!